Okay, so let's talk about estimating square roots. So raise your hand if you can tell me, if you were to explain to somebody how you go about drawing a square of 9, how would you explain that? You just say draw it?
Yes.
I think I need something a little more specific than that. If you were to explain to somebody how to draw a square of 9, how would you do that? Patrick?
Draw a box.
So I would just draw a box like this?
So like with 9 sides, right?
With 9 sides? You want a box of 9 sides? I don't think that's a square with 9. That's not a square of 9 though. There we go. Armando said I would draw a box with 3 by 3. Correct? So this box has an area of 9. And we figured that out because we know that this side is 3 and this side is 3, and 3 squared makes 9. But if I were to not tell you that this side was 3 and this side was 3, and I didn't have this grid and I just told you this was a box with 9 in it, how would you know that this side is 3? Because we know that the sides of the square are equal, correct? So actually, the square root of 9 is 3, right? That's what square root means. It's the inverse of finding the area of a square. If I need to find the area of a square, I just multiply 3 by 3. If I need to find the side of a square, I just take the square root of the area. Let's look at it here on a number line. So if this was 0, 1, 2, 3, we'd also say that this was the square root of 9. Correct? Everybody with me so far? And we could also say, let's try this. What if I said to you, the area of this square is 49. What's the side of the square? And what if I were to say the area of this square is 100? What's the side of this square? 10. You guys are all familiar with that, right? Well, that's what square roots are. So let's continue. Check this out. Where does a square of 8 fit? Move this over here. It's which one? The smaller one? Is a square of 8? How much is in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the side of the square? A 2 by 2. And what's this square? It's a 3 by 3, which makes it 9. So where does 8 fit? In the 9? Let's make it green. How much is that? 6. Is that 8? Let's group those together. So does that one fit there? Or does this one fit here? Why this one? 8 can fit in 9. Or it only takes one more square. We'd only have to add one more square. What about over here? It's more by how much? 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I were to say that 8, the square of 8 is in between the square of 4 and the square of 9, let's see what that looks like on a number line. So if this was 8 and this is 9, let's count down. 7, 6, 5, 4. What's the square root of 4? And what's the square root of 9? So somebody estimate for me what you think the square root of 8 is. You think 2.8? Let's see on a calculator. 2.8. It is. Everybody see how he did that? How did you figure that out, Alex? Patrick, why am I calling you Alex? Because it's 2, 4, 6. Ooh, that was really good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's exactly, each one of these notches is worth 2 tens. I didn't see that before. Good job. Or you could say it's really close to 3. Correct? Okay, let's move on. So in your own words, I want you to write down what a perfect square is and what an imperfect square is. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, so who has, in their own words, what a perfect square is? Anybody? Cassandra? Okay. So, true. So you mean when it fits in, you get a whole number. So it fits in. So we'll say when you take, we'll make it a little bit more with academic vocabulary. When you take the square root, it makes a whole number. So if that's a perfect square, what's an imperfect square? What? When you take the square root, you estimate? I think that's pretty good. That's enough. All right, so your turn. A square of 21. I want to see 3 squares. Okay. Just like we did in the previous example, you should have a square that's smaller than 21, a square that you're trying to make it a square out of 21, and then a square that's larger than 21. So take a moment to do that. Okay, so the first square I'm going to draw is, how can I draw a square of 21? But 7 times 3 gives us 21, but that's more of a rectangle shape. I'm trying to draw it as close to a square as I can. Yes. 4 times 4. Good. I could do 4 times 4, and that would give me 16, correct? But then how much more do I need? 5 more? So why don't we do 5 times 4, that's 20, and then 1 more, there's 21. So what's this square going to look like, the smaller one? What's a perfect square that's smaller than 21? A 4 by 4? Good. And as soon as you have that, You should automatically know what this one should be. It should be a 5 by 5. One, two, three, four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is 25. And which one is this one closer to? 25 or 16? Equal? It takes 4. We'd have to add 4 to get to this one, right? What do we have to do to get to the 16? Subtract 5. So which one is it closer to? It's closer to the 25. Let's look and see what that looks like on a number line. So I'm going to put 21 in the middle. And this is 22, 23, 24, 25. And down here I'm going to go down to 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of 25? So what do we think 21 is? 4 point what?
5.
4.5 would probably be right about here, right? Because it'd be right in the middle. And it's not quite in the middle, right, Alex? It's a little bit further over. So I'm going to guess, wouldn't it be 5 point what? Here's 5. Here's 4. And it's in between 4 and 5. This would be right in between, right?
So it'll be like 4.45.
This would be 4.5. I'm going to say it's 4.56. Let's look. 4.58. Good job. The answer is 4.58, but I'm rounding to the nearest 10. Okay, so can you visualize it now? When somebody says, what's the square root of 21, you should be able to visualize that 21 is closer to 25, so it's got to be a little bit less than 5, right? Let's not use the square this time. Let's just think about it with the number line. So when you see the square root of 15, I don't know what the square root of 15 is, but I can tell you what the square root of something else is that's pretty close to it. What? Is 16 bigger?
Yeah.
I know the square root of 16 is what? 4. What's a number that's less than 4? 3. So is the square root of 15 in between the square root of 9 and the square root of 16? How far in between? Let's check it out. Let's move this down a little bit. I covered it up with a 15. So if this was 15, and this is 16, and this is 14, 13, 12, 11, wow, it's quite further away from 9 than it is 16. So make an estimate. What do you think? What do you think the square root of 15 is? 3.7? I'm going to say it's closer. What you think? 3.87. So it's closer to 3.9. I put it on a calculator. Are you starting to visualize it? Can I go? Give it your best shot. Square root of 53. I'll do the first one with you. I don't know what the square root of 53 is. Now, some people are going to think of a number above 53, and some people are going to think of a number below 53. Which one comes to mind first? Below? Okay, so something below 53 that you know the square root, what would that be? 49. What's the square root of 49? 7. So if we're going to compare 7, what would this number be? 8 or 64. Is 53 closer to 64? Is it closer to 49, or is it somewhere in the middle? Take a guess. Make a guess, and I'm going to reveal what the number is. Everybody have a guess? Message says 7.6, right? See how close he is. 7.3. That means it's quite a bit closer to the 49 than it is to the 64, right? 171. Who can think of, if you can't think of numbers that are close to 171, think of numbers that are bigger though. What's 10 squared? What's 11 squared? What's 12 squared? What's 13 squared? 169 looks pretty close. Thank you. So 13 squared is 169. So what's this number going to be? 14. If 169 is smaller than 171, right? So it's got to be in between 13 and 14. And actually the square root of 14 squared is these two numbers transposed. So 14 is 196. So make an estimate. Alex, what do you think? 13.5? 13.5. Let's see how close you are. 13.1. See how 69 is really close to 71? If you were to put that on a number line, wouldn't they be very, very close to each other? Try this one. You kind of get it, Michael? Are you getting it? You guys say 8.2? First of all, let's write what numbers it's in between. 64 and 81. It's quite a bit closer to 64, right? So this is 8 and this is 9. So 8.3. Okay. Good job, guys. Questions? Okay. Mission complete. How do we do in our content objectives today? Good job.